Hello, my name is D.L. Morris, and I am the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Partner for our firm, Hinshaw and Culbertson. Thank you for all who attended our Transgender Day of Remembrance event last week in partnership with LAGBAC and featuring the Honorable Judge Jill Rose Quinn and Alexis Martinez. We were thrilled to have a discussion recognizing the gains of the transgender community while also remembering the lives of many lost due to issues of discrimination and hate. Even during our presentation, we bore witness to the virulent treatment members of the transgender community suffer regularly, as our virtual event was Zoom bombed. You will note that the offense was removed from the video, yet we recognize that violence against the transgender community has been on the rise, particularly against transgender individuals of color. The perpetrator, unnamed and anonymous, sought to instill lasting pain and hurt. However, our discussion on the importance of inclusion was only emboldened. We reflected on the work that we each play in our individual networks to exemplify appropriate behavior and to abhor conduct meant only to cause division and hate. In unity, we concluded the event, members more affirmed and allies more committed to advance change that bends the moral arc of the universe more towards justice. We look forward to more diversity programming supporting the transgender community in 2021. Hinshaw continues to stand with the transgender community and all those seeking a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive world built with love.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the International Transgender Day of Remembrance. Today, we honor the transgender lives who have died in 2020 due to violence. And in addition to that, we really want to raise awareness of the violence faced by transgender people. My name is Vincent Rizzo. I'm a partner at Hinshaw Culbertson. I primarily focus on employment law as well as constitutional issues. Today's vigil is hosted in partnership with Hinshaw's LGBTQ+ affinity group, LACBAC, as well as Judge-elect Jill Rose Quinn. LACBAC is Chicago's LGBTQ+ bar association. I see a few members on here. I'm on the exec board, but if anyone on here is interested in hearing more about the organization or joining, please let me know. So before Jill speaks, I just wanted to say a few words about her. So as many of you know, Jill is a true pillar of the LGBTQ+ community. And she has been for over 37 years throughout her career as an attorney. She's a board member of LACBAC, a dedicated board member of LACBAC, a member of the National LGBTQ Bar Association, a member of Chicago's LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And excitingly, Jill was just elected judge for Cook County. Jill will be the first openly transgender elected official in Illinois and the fourth openly transgender elected official in American history. So it's a truly historic moment that Jill was elected, and we are truly thrilled to have Jill on the bench. Jill's service as a judge will really give our community a court system in which we really can be confident in. And also, I need to wish Jill a happy birthday since her birthday is today. So with that, Jill, the floor is yours.
Vince, thank you for those kind words. When I'm sworn in on December 7th, as Vince said, I will be the first openly transgender judge in the state of Illinois. I'll be the fourth openly transgender judge in the country and the first openly transgender elected official in the state of Illinois. And I say that and I always use the word openly because I don't know, but I suspect that there have been other transgender people before me in public office, people who have been, perhaps living their lives in secret, maybe in shame, maybe in complete isolation, maybe with no one to talk to. But these are also transgender heroes that we should remember. These are also, we were standing on their shoulders even though they didn't know it, as well as for those who are carrying on openly. This day has a very sort of a sad tone to it, of course, because it's about what's going on in our community. Violence against transgender people, as well as other LGBTQ plus community members, is rife in this country. It's like a spectator sport. So far this year, there have been 47 members of our community murdered. There are probably more because law enforcement agencies misgender crime victims all the time. Then, of course, there's a suicide rate that threatens transgender people as well as other members of the LGBT community. The suicide rate among transgender females to males, the attempt rate is about 50%. So again, I don't know where I lost my own train of thought, but I was talking about the suicide rate among male to female transgenders people. And I was saying that that's approximately 30% of it for attempted suicides. And it doesn't get any better for adults. And someone who's stronger than me has to read the studies about this because I can't read it without crying. I also want to add that in addition to the violence perpetrated against us, the violence is in fact encouraged in 39 states by the availability of the so-called trans or gay panic defense. Those defenses are legally available to defendants, legally available strategies. According to the American Bar Association, they seek to partially or completely excuse crimes such as murder and assault on the grounds that the victim's sexual orientation or gender identity is to blame for the defendant's violent reaction. No state recognizes gay and trans panic defenses as freestanding defenses, but defendants use these defenses in an attempt to mitigate their sentencing and to mitigate the judgment and perhaps to dissuade a jury, to tell a sympathetic jury or even one juror on the panel that they should not be convicted of a crime against a transgender person. The defense is available in all but the following states: Maine, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, California, Washington, Hawaii, Illinois, yay, Colorado, and Nevada. So we have violence perpetrated against us, violence sanctioned and given the color of a legal offense, violence we do to ourselves. It looks rather bleak. And again, with 47 of us dead this year, hate crimes rife against us, a political climate that is frightening to say the least. It's just got to stop. How do we stop it? I'm hoping that people who are trans parents, and I was very encouraged while I was on the campaign trail. I met people who are parents of transgender kids and non-binary kids, and they were all looking for ways to support their kids. And that's the most important thing. And I think that's the most important thing that keeps these kids out of the range of the kind of violence that the transgender community faces, especially transgender people of color, especially transgender sex workers. If we could do something to make those families more stable, more supportive, that would go a long way to helping. Those of you who are not transgender, who are not part of our community, I urge you to support your trans friends. Just stand by them. Give them what we need. Use our pronouns. Support us in the use of pronouns. Let us know that we're loved. Check in with us to see how we're doing. Don't worry about how we're affecting you. Don't focus on, gee, I've never had a trans friend before. Well, you're lucky if you have one now. Just help us get visible, help us get support, stand by us. And As to the bleakness, this year hasn't been a total loss. Bostock recognized transgender people as members of a protected class and gave us the right to keep our jobs. We elected a new president. Georgia willing, maybe we'll take the Senate back too. So things aren't hopeless. This year, I lost a friend during the campaign for judge. His name was Mark Lovelace. He was a member of the African American community. He was a tireless fighter for LGBT rights. He was a tireless supporter of trans people. And I was at the beginning stages of the campaign. I was kind of standing off to the side and not uncharacteristically shy. And Mark came over to me and said, "Well, what are you doing here? You should announce who you are." And I said, "Well, they told me to wait over here." And Mark said, "Nonsense." And he walked over to the master of ceremonies and he said, "Introduce Jill. You got to introduce Jill." And that's the kind of guy he was. He wanted everybody to participate. He wanted everybody to be free. He wanted society to be inclusive. He died just before the pandemic hit, before everything shut down. And I've regretted that there's not been a lot of talk about, there's been we've had no ability to honor him and to say goodbye to him. I just wanted to take a moment here today to do that.
Even if I could be a little political for purposes of our current audience, seeing how close the election was, as disappointing as that could be in some respects, it also shows how much more work that we have to do. And I'm encouraged by the work that you are doing, Judge Quinn, and we're so thankful for the work that you continue to do as an ambassador of these important issues. We're grateful to have this sort of partnership with LAGBAC. We do deeply value and trust and value those sorts of opportunities. Our threefold mission when it comes to diversity is really making our talent the best that they can, building relationships internally and externally, and community engagement. And that means partnering with folks like LAGBAC, folks within our affinity groups on ways that we can continue to advance the important issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So again, I can't be more apologetic for the interruptions today. I certainly hope that we are touching base with our IT person to just have the room sealed for the remainder of our conversation. But I will also just again just say thank you so much for hosting this conversation with us, and we look forward to the remainder of the presentation.
DL, thank you for your remarks. I appreciate that. And you're right. There's a deep divide in this country. I don't know how we're going to heal it. I try to keep an open mind. I try to keep an open heart. And I think, again, that's part of what we're talking about today. We can't stop interruptions like that. We can't maybe we can't stop hate crime. But we can recognize its causes. We can work to get rid of it. We can remember who we are. And that's part of what Transgender Remembrance Day is. For everybody, remember who we are. Be proud. Be who you are. Stand up for yourselves. And move forward. And remember what's gone past. We have a proud history. We've had a lot of fighters before us. I stand on many people's shoulders. Other people are going to stand on my shoulders, and let's be willing to accept that, and let's move on. Our next speaker is Alexis Martinez. When I look at Alexis's life, I think to myself, boy, Jill, you've had a privileged life. At 14. She came out to her family and her friends, and that resulted in her expulsion from her family. She's been a labor organizer. She's been a lifelong advocate in the LGBTQ community. Right now, she works as a court support advocate with the Transformative Justice Law Project. Alexis is in the trenches. Alexis is out there helping trans kids get their name changes, helping people in the community with the things that they need to make themselves better. I am proud to share this platform with Alexis, and without any further ado, Alexis, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Judge Quinn. I have a hard time calling you Judge, or Jill anymore. You're Judge Quinn, but I did my first Trans Day of Remembrance in 2009. And, every year we have these numbers, how many of us die or commit suicide, and it's always this frustration with me that, I believe we have to remember these people, but I like to remember them for their resilience, their being remarkable, for them being revolutionary in some cases. Because having come out in 1964, with no, I didn't even know what it, closest thing I could come to was transvestite back then. And I knew I wasn't that, but my life has been blessed because at every juncture, somehow I found a way to survive. I don't care. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I've done, hustled pool, scammed people just to survive. And, I got into UCLA, I lied my way in, but I got in, so I have a whole history of surviving things that people say I can't do. And I think that's like one characteristic of every trans person that I know. Sometimes it takes them 50 years to get where they're at. Sometimes they know it and they don't divert from that path from early childhood. Now it's wonderful that we have all of these different services available and everything. I've done maybe 225 name changes in the last 2 years. I've helped people get them, through the TJLP. And you see people from every walk of life. I'm talking about, we did, I think it was an airline pilot, and we did a homeless kid, so you see from every walk of life. And during this whole pandemic, I still get phone calls from clients, Alexis, you told me if you ever needed help, to look you up. And they do. And then I have to connect them to some service. So it's all, to me, it's all part of being transgender, is being supportive of the people within that community. I see the law and the law professions, the judicial system, just at my time at the Daly Center, starting 2 years ago, I remember judges being almost frightened when they saw trans people, or, being, unfriendly. But as I've gotten to know them, right, gently coaxing them into understanding that I'm a human being. Now, I get text messages from them and whatever, we've built relationships. And you mentioned relationships. To me, we need to build relationships with law firms all across the city, because we have, I don't know how many people are at Cook County Jail, trans people, and I don't care what Tom Dart says, there's still a lot of abuse of trans people going on. There's the biggest changes I've seen in trans people is the law, because believe me, I've been to so many protests and organizing meetings and everything, right? But the changes that happen, in the city council, they happen in Springfield, they happen at the county board. And for a lot of that, we need attorneys that, have some time to give to the people. Looking at my history, I came out of the Harold Ickes projects on 24th and State, and literally every knuckle in my hands is broken from fighting. So I've always had an ability to survive, and I think it's important that we celebrate the lives of trans people, even the people that, fell victim to somebody's fears. these people lived remarkable lives, and we should remember they're remarkable, they're resilient, and that we should celebrate them. Yeah, light a candle, but celebrate their lives and understand that they can serve as examples of very bold, courageous people. Because that ain't easy to step out, from your church, from your family, from your friends, so, I mean, Vincent, I'd like to turn it over to you. I'm getting a little emotional here.
Thank you, Alexis, and thank you, both of you, for thank you so much just for those heartfelt words and for paving the way for so many people and letting people know that it's okay to be themselves. And so you two really are leading the way here, and it's amazing to watch. I will point out, we had to lock the event today given what has happened, but there has been a ton of people who have wanted to join and to participate in today's event. So there has been a lot of support there. I can list a number of people who wanted to join, but unfortunately we had to lock it. Today's event is being recorded, so subsequent to the event, feel free to reach out to me for a link to the event or to the recording of the event, and we can get it out to whoever wants to see it. We have a video from Patty Flynn giving her thoughts as to today's Transgender Day of Remembrance. She is a senior consultant for Equality Institute, and we're really happy to hear from her today. So let me show you the video here.
No sound.
Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words to your group on this Trans Day of Remembrance.
Can you all hear it now?
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words to your group on this Trans Day of Remembrance. My name is Patty Flynn, and I am a trans woman. I have a significantly easier time saying those words than Black trans women, who are far more marginalized than I am, and whose names we seem to keep calling out on every Trans Day of Remembrance. The hurdles to gainful employment push Black trans women into situations that put them at greater risk of harm. Take the time as you hear the names spoken of those we've lost this year and look back at every year and think about how this can change. If you're a white person, what things can you do to support groups that are run by trans women of color? Use your privilege to provide direct assistance. Can you volunteer your time or knowledge? Can you offer regular streams of funding to these organizations? There are groups in Chicago, like Brave Space Alliance, and they need your assistance to help those in real need. So hopefully we can stop saying so many names year after year.
Very important words from Patty. At this time, I want to invite anyone on here, part of the audience today, to share any personal reflections of grief, hope, solidarity, or any other thoughts or feelings as we observe Transgender Day of Remembrance.
I'll speak. My name is Todd Young, and I hate to say back in the old days because that implies that I'm old, but what the heck. Back in the old days, we used to say, prejudice and bias and discrimination against gay people would stop. If every gay person just glowed pink for a day, the whole world would say, oh, you? Oh, okay. And it would move on. So I guess I'm sobered by the statistics, but I'm also appreciative of all the trans people who have lived openly because that's the only way to make any progress is when people start seeing that trans people, like gay people, are just like everybody else and deserve the same basic rights. So I'm struck, though, that that's an easier thing to say and urge people, trans people in particular, to do. It's easier to say it than to do it. All of us who are LGBT know at some level what it's like to walk out the door in the morning and wonder if there will be, if something will happen. Maybe it's just verbal harassment, maybe it's physical, but we all sort of can sympathize with or empathize with what that feels like. So for trans people to do that, take that step out the door is so important for progress in this area. And I just keep thinking back to how the whole gay pride movement really got its legs when a bunch of black and brown and white trans women stood up at the Stonewall Bar. And that is the ultimate openness, the ultimate out and about in the community taking a stand. And so we all stand on their shoulders, whether we're trans or not.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks.
And anyone else?
I'd like to say something. I want to thank Jill, Alexis, you, Vince, and Hinshaw for doing this. I think it's easy to forget living in Chicago, the bubble we truly live in, and seeing what happened early on in the presentation only reaffirms how important it is that things like this are recognized and advertised, and we all come together to support each other. To ensure that people understand that LGBTQ members of society and transgender people are people. And those kids or whoever did that, it might be an innocent prank today, but those are the people who end up murdering people and are the direct cause of the numbers we unfortunately still see. And that's why things like this are so important. So I thank all of you, and I thank everyone who attended, who took time out of their day to recognize how important this event is.
Thank you, Adam. Does anyone else want to say anything as we observe International Transgender Day of Remembrance?
I'm good.
Hey, with that, Jill, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I can do that. Is there will there be a screen? Okay. These are the names of the transgender people who have lost their lives to violence this year. Arian Burnett, Asia Raquel Roan Spears. You can all feel free to say their names along. Asia Raquel Roan Spears.
Asia Raquel.
Alexa Nelisa Luciano Ruiz. Angel Haynes. Ashley Moore.
Ashley Moore.
Brayla Stone.
Brayla Stone.
Brayla Stone.
Bree Nuke Black.
Bree Nuke
Black.
Black.
Brian Egypt Powers.
Ryan Egypt Powers.
Dominique Remy Fells.
Dominique Remy
Fells.
Fells.
Remy Fells.
Drya McCarty.
Drya
Ryan
McCarty.
McCarty.
I am McCarty.
Dustin Parker.
Dustin
Dustin
Parker.
Parker.
Felicia Harris.
Felicia Harris.
Hella J. O'Regan.
Helen.
Hella J. O'Regan.
Jane Thompson.
Jane.
Jane Thompson.
Thompson.
Johanna Metzger.
Johanna Metzger.
Johanna Metzger.
Key Sam.
Keith Sam,
Keith Sam,
Leila Peleas Sanchez,
Leah
Layla
Peleas,
Peleas Sanchez,
Lexi,
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 Marilyn Cazares,
Marilyn
Marilyn
Cazares,
Cazares,
Mercy Mack,
Mercy
Mercy
Mack,
Mack,
Mia Green,
Mia
Mia
Green,
Green,
Michelin Ramos Vargas,
Michelin Ramos Vargas,
Monica Diamond,
Monica Diamond,
Monica Diamond,
Nina Pop,
Nina Pop,
Nina Pop,
Penelope Diaz Ramirez,
Penelope Diaz Ramirez,
Biasha D. Hardy,
Yasha D. Hardy,
Rhea Milton,
Rhea
Rhea
Milton,
Milton,
Sarah Blackwood,
Sarah Black,
Sarah Blackwood,
Selena Reyes Hernandez,
Selena Reyes Hernandez,
Serena Angelique Velasquez Ramos,
Serena
Angelique Velasquez Ramos,
Shockey Peters,
Shockey
Taki
Peters,
Peters,
Summer Taylor,
Summer
Summer
Taylor,
Taylor,
Tatiana Hall,
Tatiana Hall,
Oh, geez.
Tiffany Harris,
Tiffany
Tiffany
Harris,
Harris,
Tony McDade,
Tony
Tony
McDade,
McDade,
Yampi Mendez Arojo,
Yampi
Yampi
Mendez Arocho,
Rocho,
Unieski Carrie Herrera,
Unieski Carrie Herrera,
Alex McCrae,
Alex McCrae,
McCrae,
Camila Maria Concepcion,
Camila Maria Concepcion,
Lorena Borges,
Lorena Borges,
Henrietta Robinson,
Henrietta Robinson,
Rhea Milton,
Rhea
Rhea Milton,
Angela Martinez Gomez,
Angela Martinez Gomez,
Shelley Lynn Rose,
Shelley
Lynn Rose,
Ellie Che,
Ellie
Che,
45.
Isabella Mia Lofton,
Isabella Mia Lofton,
Gia Valentina Romualdo Rodriguez,
Gia Valentina Romualdo Rodriguez,
So let's just take a moment to reflect, think about what we can do moving forward to help the injustices. So let's just take a moment of silence. So thank you everyone for joining what is an important day to not only honor those lives that have died as a result of violence, but to also raise awareness. So today we should reflect on what we've discussed today, what we heard from Jill, from Alexis, from Patty, from the other speakers. But again, we do thank you. We again apologize for the incident earlier, but as Adam and DL mentioned, that's reaffirming the importance here. So, and thank you, Alexis and Jill, for again your heartfelt words. And if no one else has anything else to say, we can conclude today's event.
I just want to say one thing in closing.
Yes, please do.
Just it's important that firms like yours, okay, and other attorneys and judges and everything support trans organizations, especially in the legal areas. So I just want to invite everybody that's possibly can support us in some way. The Transformative Justice Law Project. Okay, we're tiny, so we could use all the legal help that we can get. You can look us up on Facebook, Transformative Justice Law Project, or our website, tjlp.org.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Alexis. And Alexis, please reach out to me. I know LACBAC would be in full support of helping in any way we can.
Oh, excellent.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vince.
Hi,
Thank
Judge.
you, Alexis. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It means a lot to me.
Bye, all you folks.
Go forth in love, okay?
God bless you. Bye-bye.